They say some places are better left alone, forgotten by time and memory. I thought that was just a myth until I decided to spend a night in one of the most infamous haunted houses in the country. And trust me when I say, some myths are real. It was a cold October evening, perfect weather for a story like this. The house stood at the edge of town, towering over everything like a decaying giant. It had been abandoned for decades, and the townsfolk had all sorts of stories about the things that happened inside. As I walked up the gravel path, I could feel my heart beating faster. The wooden boards creaked under my weight, and the air smelled of rot and mildew. I wasn't scared yet, at least. That's what I kept telling myself. The door wasn't locked, just like the rumor said. It swung open with a long, eerie creak that made the hairs on my neck stand up. Inside, the air was thick, heavy with a damp, musty scent that clung to my lungs and whispered in my ear that I shouldn't be there. The house was just as I expected: old, forgotten, and ruined by time. Dust covered everything like a blanket, and cobwebs clung to the corners of the room. But it wasn't the appearance that unnerved me, it was the silence. A silence that wasn't empty. It felt like something or someone was watching me. I walked deeper into the house, each step echoing unnaturally in the stillness. The staircase loomed in front of me, spiraling upward into the darkness. Every instinct told me to leave, but I ignored them. I had come to spend the night here, and that's exactly what I was going to do. As I reached the second floor, that's when I first heard it. Whispering. Faint, like a breath of wind through cracked windows. I couldn't make out the words, but the tone was unmistakable. Something wanted me gone. I froze, trying to convince myself it was just the wind. My pulse quickened, and for the first time, real fear crept in. I wasn't alone. The hallway stretched out before me, a long corridor lined with closed doors. I chose the first door on the right and pushed it open. The wood groaned like it hadn't been disturbed in years. Inside, the room was eerily ordinary: an old bed, a broken dresser, and a mirror leaning against the wall. But as I stepped in, my flashlight flickered. Once, twice. Then it went out completely. Panic set in. I fumbled with the flashlight, desperately trying to get it back on. That's when I felt it cold, icy air brushing against my skin. But it wasn't a breeze, it felt deliberate. Something was in the room with me. When the flashlight flickered back to life, I wasn't prepared for what I saw. In the mirror behind me, there was a figure, a woman, pale, with hollow eyes that seemed to burn through the darkness. She didn't move. She just stared. I spun around, but the room was empty. My heart was pounding, my hands shaking. I told myself it was just my imagination, but deep down, I knew the truth. The house wasn't just haunted, it was alive. I needed to get out. I could hear the rain starting to pour outside, but that was the least of my concerns. I just needed to survive the night. I hurried back into the hallway, but the whispering was louder now, closer. Every step I took, it felt like something was following me, breathing down my neck. But when I looked behind, there was nothing. There was one place left. I hadn't explored: the attic. The door at the end of the hallway stood slightly ajar, as if inviting me in. My gut screamed to stay away, but something was drawing me there. The stairs creaked under my weight as I climbed up. The air grew colder, the smell of dust and decay thickening with every step. And then I sought the source of the whispering. The attic was filled with old, broken dolls. Their eyes, they seemed to follow me as I moved through the room. But it wasn't just the dolls. In the center of the room was a small wooden chair, and sitting in that chair was her, the woman from the mirror. She was facing away from me, her back hunched, her head hanging low. But I could feel her eyes, even though she wasn't looking. I knew she saw me. I couldn't move. My legs felt like lead. The whispering had stopped. There was only silence and her. And then she moved. I don't remember much after that. Just running. Running faster than I ever had in my life. Down the stairs, through the hall, and out the front door. The rain was pouring, the wind howling, but I didn't care. I had made it out. But as I looked back at the house just for a second, I saw her, standing in the window, staring down at me. I haven't been back since. But the memory of that night, it still haunts me. And every time I close my eyes, I see her, waiting. Some places are meant to be forgotten, and if you ever find yourself standing at the door of an old, abandoned house, do yourself a favor, don't go inside.